Michigan dominates Nebraska, a hobbled Nebraska team who was down starting quarterback and then lost their backup quarterback in the second quarter. Get the win 34-3. It is your Michigan Football Report Instant Reaction. I am your host, James Yoder. Michigan improves to 10-0 for the first time since the 2006 season, the famed 1-2 Michigan-Ohio State matchup where Michigan lost because the refs clearly screwed Michigan, as normally the case when they play Ohio State and were to lose the game. So that is the setup for today's show. Give me your one-word reaction to Michigan's 34-3 win over Nebraska down in the comments. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Mine is, I guess, boring, but that's, I'll think about one. It was a satisfying win. It wasn't great. It wasn't too sloppy or anything like that. It was fairly boring, but if I have to pick just one word, I would say satisfying. But in a lot of ways, folks, 14 days, it's on to Ohio State. Let's take a look at the box score in this one. 34-3. Michigan was up 17-0 at halftime. They added 17 points to 17-0 takeaway in the second half. Michigan has been dominant, right? Over the last 5 games, they have outscored opponents in the second half, 117-3. You see on your screen with me here, Chuba Purdy, the quarterback for Nebraska today. He went out in the second quarter, 6 of 11 for 56 yards. Anthony Grant, running back, 11 carries, 22 yards. And then Marcus Washington, 2 catches for 36 yards. J.J. McCarthy, 8 of 17, 129. Blake Corum, the story of the day, with 28 carries for 162 yards and a touchdown. Ronnie Bell, 4 catches, 72 yards, had a touchdown early on. Could have had a second one, but he fumbled the ball at the goal line, right at the goal line. Andrew Anthony actually recovered it in the end zone. Probably was out of bounds, but Michigan still got credit for that one. So that is the story, 34-3. Michigan wins. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel here on YouTube. It is youtube.com/Michigan TV, the most watched Michigan football show. Watch more than any radio station, TV station, more bigger audience than any Michigan football podcast. 22,904 subscribers. Let's get to 23,000 subscribers ASAP. YouTube.com/Michigan TV. Make sure you subscribe. My biggest instant reaction today on the show is Blake Corum. He is just all-time, right? He is an all-time Michigan football player. His legacy is cemented in the lores of Schembechler Hall. His performance today, maybe one of his best of all time as well. 28 carries, 162 yards, 5.8 yards per carry. He was really Michigan's entire offense, frankly, in the first half. Went over 100 in the first half. Again, 1 touchdown on the day. I kind of wish Michigan would give him another shot. J.J. McCarthy had a rushing touchdown later in the game. I wish they would have given him to Blake Corum a couple times, kind of pad those Heisman Trophy level stats. Take a look at his 2022 stats, up to date through today's game. Blake Corum, 227 carries, 1,349 yards, so a yard shy of 1,350. He's averaging 5.9 yards per carry, and with today's touchdown, he has 18 total touchdowns on the day, 7 straight 100-yard games. Basically, Michigan actually did a disservice to Blake Corum. Had they played tougher opponents early on, when he didn't get 100 yards the first 3 games, he may have more stats than what you see here because he has had 7 straight 100-yard games, which is a 100-yard game in every single Big Ten game Michigan has played so far this season. That's an amazing stat. Last guy to do that, 7 straight or more, was Mike Hart. Well, I guess Karan Higdon did it as well in 2000, and I think it was 18, and then Mike Hart did 8 straight back in 2006. Today's Michigan Football Report Instant Reaction is presented by Established Titles. Folks, we've been telling you about Established Titles for a few weeks. It is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. It is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds, or lords and ladies in English. A title pack gives you at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland, and an official certificate with a crest. We plant a tree with every order and work with global charities, One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future, to support global reforestation efforts. You could officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, plane tickets, dating profiles, anything that's official. You can be a Lord or a Lady. It makes a great last-minute gift this holiday season. And I'll tell you what, the first 200 people who purchase a title pack using this link, establishedtitles.com/chat, will have a plot next to mine, within walking distance of mine. Depending on how many of you decide to sign up to be a Lord or a Lady and get going with Established Titles, we can build our own little Michigan football kingdom. Take a look at this, folks. I am a Scottish Lord. It says James Yoder. You get this plaque. I've got this hanging right behind my desk. thanks to established titles. It makes an amazing last-minute holiday gift. Think of it kind of like, you buy somebody, name a star after somebody. You make them a Scottish lord or lady by giving them a one-by-one plot of land in Edison, Scotland. Their early Black Friday deal is massive. It's going on right now, and you get an additional 10% off going to establishedtitles.com/chat using the promo code /chat. Let's build a Michigan football report empire over there in Scotland. Become a lord or lady with Established Titles, establishedtitles.com/chat. Link is down in the comments and in the description of today's video. Talking some more running backs as we get off the Blake Corum being a legend topic. How about Donovan Edwards? Didn't see a ton of him today, and the reports were from the Michigan radio broadcast after halftime that he had some sort of cast. I'm guessing some sort of soft cast, right? Because you can't really put a hard cast on at halftime on his hand. Didn't get any carries after halftime. So Donovan Edwards, we're recording this the moment the game's over. So if news comes out here later this evening into Saturday night, Sunday morning, we will report on that on my Twitter account, and we'll potentially have it on tomorrow's Michigan Football Overreaction Sunday video. My number 2 instant reaction is J.J. McCarthy and the wide receivers. They just don't seem to be on the same page, right? Michigan's wide receiver group as a total, I think, has been fairly poor so far this season. Take a look at the wide receiver leaders from today. I thought Cornelius Johnson and Andrew Anthony both got their shots to make plays early on in the game. Both struggled, bad routes, don't make plays for the ball, don't seem to really know where JJ is going to go. Is he going to go back shoulder? Is he going to go deep? Is he going to go inside, outside? You saw during the broadcast several times where JJ was going deep and guys were stopping short or they were jumping too early, things like that. I think the passing game so far this year, folks, has been very concerning. Outside the Hawaii game, outside the UConn game, since Michigan's gotten the Big Ten play, you've got Indiana where JJ went over 300 yards, was 28 of 36. But his yards and his stats, for every game has kind of been coming down. His passing completion percentage, his yards per catch, everything has kind of been coming down the last 4 or 5 weeks. Now, that is offset by Michigan's running game consistently going up or doing well. But nevertheless, these stats are not national championship level stats. I don't even know if they're Big Ten championship level stats. I understand it wasn't great weather today. That's fine. Michigan threw the ball enough, especially in the first half, where it really shouldn't have mattered, honestly, in a lot of ways for J.J. McCarthy and this Michigan offense. He didn't make it happen. He didn't get a ton of run today. And I think he only threw for like 4 or 5 times in the second half. 8 of 17, 129 is what he finished. Now, he did have 3 total touchdowns, a running touchdown, a pass to Ronnie Bell, and then another pass to Ronnie Bell that fumbled and then was recovered in the end zone by Andrew Anthony. They counted it as a passing touchdown the way it was marked up. The Michigan defense was untested today, and even if Nebraska was at full strength, I think they would have been kind of untested because this Nebraska team is just, frankly, bad. They've already fired a coach. Casey Thompson isn't that great, regardless of whether he would have played or not today. He didn't play, and Chubba Purdy was hurt in the second quarter. So Nebraska was on their third-string quarterback the last 2+ quarters of the game. But it was nice to see Gemon Green out there. He made the trip last week to Rutgers, didn't play after his nasty assault that he was on the receiving end of, getting beat over the head with a helmet against Michigan State back on October 29th, 2 weeks ago. So good to see him out there in the field. He got some playing time. Will Johnson was in there in a lot of plays. Mikey Sainer still. A lot of good plays in the secondary today. Nebraska did basically nothing on offense all day. Their star player, Trey Palmer, one of the best in the Big Ten at wide receiver. 5 catches, but for 12 yards. I didn't even realize he really had 5 catches till we looked at the box score towards the end of the fourth quarter. But nevertheless, 5 catches, 12 yards. They didn't do anything through the air. There was some short passes, and Michigan really held him in check. Before we continue on, I want to kind of have a little fun here because today was a fairly boring day, kind of a overcast, dreary day in Ann Arbor. But let me know a completely random Michigan football player. I'm not talking about Mike Hart or Chad Henne or someone like that, Denard Robinson. I'm talking about somebody that you forgot even existed, or most people have forgot existed. Go down in the comments and let me know. I'm going to think of one off the top of my head. Okay, you might have heard of this guy, but a lot of people haven't. How about Darryl Stoneham? I think he ran a kickoff back for a touchdown against Notre Dame in one of the Rich Rod years. Must have been like 2010. He was the star of the, I believe, 2008 recruiting class, the Rich Rod into the Lloyd Carr into Rich Rod hybrid class after Lloyd Carr's end of season final year in 2007. Darryl Stoneham, top 100 recruit, wide receiver, didn't make a huge impact at Michigan, but was a pretty good kick returner. Was a big get for Lloyd Carr, and then Rich Rod out of the state of Texas. Name one for me down in the comments. Let's see who could be the most creative with a random Michigan football player. Number 4, I've said it a couple times, today was a very uneventful game. Some things to talk about on what we had there. Nebraska quarterback Chubba Purdy out after just a frankly normal hit by Rod Moore early on. Their backup quarterback comes in. There's like a hit where maybe it was a fumble, and then he actually does fumble on the next play, his second snap, and Nebraska gets their only scoring drive of the day, a field goal with 2 minutes or so left in the first half. It was a fairly boring day, but we don't know what's happened to Donovan Edwards yet, okay? Jim Harbaugh is going to be at the podium here in a moment, and so follow me on Twitter for anything after the game, whether or not he makes an announcement on Donovan Edwards. Also, Mike Morris left the game in the fourth quarter, was shooken up in some regard. I don't have that injury information yet, but as long as those guys aren't hurt for next week or, frankly, the Ohio State game, then, as I said earlier in the week, all that matters is Michigan wins and gets the Ohio State game healthy as they can be and ready to play the Buckeyes at 11-0. You don't want a loss between there, but you also don't want anyone to get hurt. So a 34-3 kind of uneventful, rudimentary day, that's just fine with me. I'll ask you guys this question. Now that Michigan won the 25-year anniversary of the 1997 split national titles, thanks, Phil Fulmer, you asshole. Who said that? Who said that, Jack? We got Jack behind the camera. We call him Young Harbaugh. Type M for Michigan, type N for Nebraska. Clearly, if Nebraska was the real national champions that year, they wouldn't have sucked at football for basically the last 20 years since they lost the national title game in 2001 to Miami. So give me an M or an N. The real national champs, who would have won the game had Michigan and Nebraska played after the 1997 season. 14 days till Michigan can beat Ohio State again. It's been something like 1,068 days or something like that since Ohio State has beat Michigan. Feels like forever. I mean, there's kids out there in kindergarten who were like 2 years old the last time Ohio State beat Michigan. It's been that long for the Buckeyes, a long losing streak for them. Been forever. But, Michigan's got one more game, okay? It's at Illinois. They lost again today. So what could have been a top 10 or 12 or 14 matchup and a nice big-time ranked win for Michigan, which both Michigan and Ohio State need their opponents to do well because the loser of that game still is trying to get into the college football playoff. So Illinois does Michigan no help. They lost to Michigan State last week. They lost again today against Purdue. So Michigan faces them next week. Michigan's supposed to announce the game time today. I haven't seen it yet as we're filming this immediately after the game. So we'll hopefully have that for you in tomorrow's Michigan football overreaction Sunday. But 2 straight losses for Illinois. I'm guessing Michigan will kind of sleepwalk through that game next week. Will win, similar today, 28-7, 28-10. Illinois, though, does have one of the best defenses in the country, and they have one of the best running backs in the country as well. So don't want to overlook them. But 14 days to Ohio State. Get at me in the comments with some Bosas. Beat Ohio State again. Type it down in the comments. We're Ohio State. I know there's a game against Illinois next week. I understand it, folks. I do. They won today 56-14 against Indiana. They're going to travel on the road for their last game of the year before Michigan next week on the road to Maryland. Beat Ohio State. Beat Ohio State. We started the chant. Bosa. Started Tuesday night. I'm a creative song, but type in the comments. I'm pumped for this game. I think Michigan can and should beat Ohio State in Columbus. More bad weather, right? Michigan seemed to play okay in it today. Ohio State, we know they're chilly, they're soft. The temperature's below 35. They just absolutely crumble, and I'm hoping that we get some of that in Columbus in 2 weeks. I don't think Michigan needs it, but it'll be nice to play in the elements that Michigan does best in. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. It's the youtube.com/Michigan TV, the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. All the podcasts out there, all the radio shows, all the TV shows on Sunday nights or the local ABC, none of them have put together the audience and the fan base that we have. So we really appreciate you guys. youtube.com/Michigan TV. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be back tomorrow with our Michigan Football Overreaction Sunday, talking all things Wolverines heading into Michigan, hosting Illinois next week on the path to Columbus 14 days from today. So I see you guys tomorrow. Go Blue.